Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here for this session on building effective dashboards that your team will actually use. So in this session, I'm so honored to welcome Michelle Dotson, who is our Director of Sales Ops at Apttus, and she's been at Apttus for about 2 years now, has 10 years of sales ops experience, and honestly, building dashboards and reports is her hobby, aside from shopping. So I would like to introduce now Michelle Dotson, who is figuring out the clicker. So once again, Michelle Dotson, our Director of Sales Ops at Apttus, telling us how to build effective dashboards.
Thank you. Okay. So if any of you were in my last session, I would suggest taking a nap for the next 10 minutes because the couple first slides here are the same slides that I just presented. But my name is Michelle Dotson. I'm the Director of Sales Operations at Apttus, and I have about 500 people every day looking at dashboards and reports that I've created. So today I want to walk you guys through what it takes to create a really effective dashboard, and then I want to show you guys some examples of actual dashboards that you can use at your organizations. So to me, I kind of see dashboards as a crystal ball. Everyone is looking at this same data, but they're expecting different results and they need to get different answers. So as an admin, it's going to take a lot of hard work for you guys to kind of modify the data to fit everyone's needs. So is there anyone in the room that is responsible for reports and dashboards at their organization? Okay. And so how many of you guys have spent maybe a couple hours, even some days sometimes, creating reports and dashboards, and then you realize no one's actually using them? Okay, so I'm not the only one, and I'm actually going to create we're going to start a support group for bitter admins outside, so you guys can just find me outside, and we can talk about our feelings and our experiences. So I have about 10 years of experience in sales operations, and I want to share with you guys some tips, and then we'll get into the actual dashboards. So first tip is to start at the top, and I've worked with a bunch of different CEOs, with a bunch of different executives, and I've learned one thing, and that is you cannot overwhelm these executives with data. They are going to ask you for 1 million reports. They're going to want to know all kinds of information, but it's your job to highlight the key metrics that are needed to run your business. PricewaterhouseCoopers, they did a survey. It said that 52% of CEOs can only handle 5 to 10 metrics at a time. So I'll tell you a little story, and I have somebody in the audience who can validate my story. I won't call on you. But a couple years ago, I worked for this really crazy, brilliant CEO. He only ate 3 things. He ate salmon, he ate blueberries, and he ate broccoli, and that's it. So those are the top 3 brain foods, right? So he's a really smart man, but he was very specific in how he wanted to see data and how he wanted to see dashboards. So I was constantly creating dashboards, maxing out dashboards, and he was asking me the same question almost every other week. So I realized the man, as smart as he was getting overwhelmed with how much data I was giving him. So I took it away. I got sick of him asking me and eating broccoli in front of me, and I just took the dashboards away, and I said, hey, here's the top 12 metrics you and the executives need to run our business. And that was emailed to him every day. I waited about maybe 2 months before I felt safe enough to erase all the extra dashboards he had me build. But I learned a valuable lesson from that guy, right? And it's just that these executives cannot handle a lot of data. As an admin, I had to be confident in my experience to understand what were the key metrics and give those to my executives and have a place where it was easily accessible and consistent for those executives to go to. So tip number 2, you're gonna have to work your way down. Sorry. So your executives have set the company directives, they've highlighted the goals, and now we gotta just run that through the entire line. What you have to do here is give visibility to your managers and what their teams are doing and not doing. So I've been with Apttus about 2 years, and when I started, they had a sales ops department. Things are working fine. I get to know the sales managers, and I realize some of them are asking the same questions. They're asking me things like, what are my win rates against certain competitors? They're asking me, do I have enough pipeline to hit my number for the quarter? So I took some of these managers, we got in a room, and we built out this gold standard dashboard, and we replicated that across all of the different regions and all of the different sales teams. And I could tell you all the kind of basic stuff that we put on those dashboards. I'll show you what our dashboard looks like in a couple slides. But the most important tip here is that I started to highlight what our reps were not doing. So this is where we added reports and dashboards to drive behavior of our field team. We were highlighting deals where the reps are not selling support with products. We were highlighting deals that were in a late stage. They're supposed to close tomorrow, and the knucklehead rep never sent a quote out to anybody, right? That's not gonna close tomorrow. Your manager is gonna have a conversation with the rep. We're gonna figure this out. But that dashboard started to kind of have our managers have conversations with the field team, and then we started to drive the behavior we wanted in the field. So really give your managers visibility into what their teams are doing, so help them answer the easy questions, and then show them what their teams are not doing so they can catch it early and course correct if needed. And then here's my most important tip. So if you leave Accelerate only learning one thing, I suggest that you take this with you. I think that there are only two types of users, any kind of CRM users. There is a power user and there is a power loser. And they are very valuable, both of them are very valuable to everybody in this room. So your power user, that's that person that's like the super savvy salesperson, probably used to be an SE, created a couple reports, think he knows everything, right? We all have those guys, we work with those people. That's the person that you bounce this dashboard off of so that you can see if they can answer your basic questions. They're gonna help you understand if your dashboard is really effective. My favorite and the most valuable thing here is the power loser. So this is that person that's constantly locking themselves out of Salesforce. They only log in because either ops is yelling or their manager is yelling, right? Do you guys know any power losers? Anybody? So we're not the only ones that hire them? Okay, that's good to know. So the power loser is very valuable because this person is gonna show you where there are gaps. This person is gonna help you understand whether or not your dashboard is effective. So ask them a couple questions, have them walk you through how they're using your dashboard. You'll really learn a lot. So one thing I suggest for you guys to do, take out your phone, mental note, whatever you wanna do, but pick your power user and your power loser. Go back, use them. That's really helped me be successful with creating effective reports and dashboards. So I'm sure you guys have seen this probably 100 times by now, but Apttus automates everything from a lead being generated all the way through the billing, invoicing process. I'm not gonna spend a lot of detail here, you guys have heard it everywhere else, but when I build out dashboards, I have to take this entire process into consideration. I wanna show from the beginning of a lead being generated all the way through a customer getting invoiced. I need to show the health of the deals, I need to show whether or not they were invoiced. So this is what we do, and that's kind of the struggle that I've had in creating really effective dashboards here. One thing that I just want to highlight is that dashboards are going to help drive decisions. I've been in quarter-end, year-end meetings with the executives, refreshing my dashboards every 15 minutes, and they're making real-time decisions for the business because of that data. So you want to make sure that you're tracking the right data, and you want to make sure that it's accurate. Really help your executives have one place to go to find that data. And again, it's going to help set the priorities. You're showing everyone what are the goals for the company. And that's what drives alignment across all the different teams and the entire organization. And measuring success, everyone wants to know that they're successful. So this is where you can really start to highlight the people that are. You can drive whatever behaviors you want by measuring success. So I'm going to walk through some examples, and we're just going to kind of, if you want to raise your hand and ask any questions, please feel free to do that. You guys all look cool in your Tron headsets, so just raise your hand. For a marketing dashboard, every company probably has some kind of marketing. It might be different. Somebody might be focusing on inbound versus outbound marketing. Maybe you're channel centric, right? Your chief marketing officer, your VP of marketing, they should have one place to go that gives them visibility into all of their marketing efforts at a high level. I would suggest that you guys create different dashboards for the different divisions specific, to those divisions. So your channel team should have one dashboard, but that rolls up into your CMO's dashboard. You want to look at things like leads that you've generated this quarter, this year. Those are obviously key metrics for a marketing department. We want to look at pipeline influenced by the marketing team. How much of our current pipeline and rolling 4 quarters out did marketing actually help generate? We look at things like conversion rates. So we got a lead. Did that lead become an opportunity? Did that opportunity close? We want to see the effectiveness of the campaigns that we have. We look at how much of our bookings was generated by marketing. That's the success of our marketing team. That's kind of what they live and die by. And we look at things like, what are the best lead sources? What are the top campaigns? At a high level, your marketing dashboard should show these things. Okay. So my executives today get a weekly email of a dashboard that gets sent to them every Monday morning. And like I said, oh sorry, I was pointing at you guys with the laser. Sorry, I don't know how to turn it off. Don't look at it. My executives get this every Monday morning, and it gives them, there's only 6 reports on this dashboard. And I'm basically telling them where we are every week for the quarter. I tell them how much have we booked, how much have you booked by a lead source. I tell them how much open pipeline is left, and if there are any deals that are at risk for the quarter, or if we've lost any deals. My top executives, my sales management, our CEO, that's all they really need to know on a weekly basis. Are we gonna make our number, and how far have we gotten? The rest, they can go look somewhere else for that. So our executives, like I said in the beginning, they need one place, couple metrics, they see them all the time, and they live and breathe those metrics. So forecasting, some people love it, some people hate it, some people do it well, and some people don't do it at all. I think at Apttus, we're kind of in the middle where we have really great forecasters. They can tell you exactly the day it's gonna close, how much it's gonna close for, and they're almost psychic because they tell you that like 6 months before it happens, right? And then you have the other kinds of people who just the day before a deal closes decide, I'm gonna create the lead, create the opportunity, throws off all of our forecasting. But on this dashboard that you guys can create for forecasting, what's important is to highlight things that are not normal so that you can improve your forecast accuracy. So what we've done is we kind of mapped out our process. What is a healthy deal? What does that look like? And where are the deals not aligning to that map that we've built out? So if we have a late stage deal and there's no proposal generated and it's supposed to close in 2 weeks, we highlight that on this forecast dashboard because we're gonna call that rep's bluff. We know historical data has shown us that you will not close this deal in 2 weeks. It's either in the wrong stage or you forgot to log something, but you need to clean up your opportunity and a little bit of your act because this is not gonna work for us, right? So highlight what you need to highlight so that you can increase the accuracy of your forecast. And for companies that are public, you have to be accurate in your forecast. So these are some of the actual reports that are on our forecast dashboard. So we want to do this for the reps and the managers for their region. So it's important for the rep to understand how accurate they are at forecasting. It's also really important for the manager to see who's not as good at forecasting. How can I help them? This is a teachable moment. You can coach them and have them understand what's necessary to be accurate in your forecasting. So this is that sales manager dashboard that I was talking about. Our managers really needed one view that showed them the health of their territory and who their top reps were and what reps needed coaching and what reps needed help so that they could drive those deals to close. So your sales managers, they're supposed to kind of know everything about the deal. They're supposed to coach the reps. they own the number for their team, right? And that's a lot to ask of one person when they have 10, 15, 20 people. So they need to be able to look at this dashboard and understand how close they are to hit their number for the quarter and for the year, and what they need to do. Are there any reps that are struggling? How can we help those? Do those reps need additional pipeline? One thing that I like to highlight on the sales management dashboard is their top 10 deals, not just for the quarter, but for the year. The entire company should be focused on that, specifically within that region. If you know this is a huge deal coming in 2 quarters, make sure your manager is aware of it, make sure your rep is aware of it and tracking it and updating their opportunity frequently. One thing I think is important too is to have some type of like trending analysis for your sales managers, just to show them, you know, what's happened in the past and what may happen in the next coming quarters. Giving them like actual facts will help them run their territory much better. We also look at activities. So some of our top reps, they don't log anything in the CRM. But if I see them as the top rep and they have 0 activities, I'm just gonna mark that as like, this is that one person who doesn't log anything, but they're our top dog, they get a pass. But if you're last on that leaderboard list, you're not closing any business, and you have no activities, we're gonna talk. I'm gonna get your manager, probably my manager, we might have to call your wife, why aren't you working? Where are the logged calls and the meetings? Like, what's going on, right? That's where you start to show your managers who's working, who's not working, and help them close their, hit their targets. And one thing we track at Apttus that I think, I've done at other companies, but the way that we do it here is great. We know that if you want to close a deal this quarter and you have not made an edit or even just touched that opportunity in 30 days, it's probably not going to close. You're not talking to them, you're not actively engaged with them, so we highlight those deals. You're saying you're going to close this deal, you have not touched this opportunity in 30 days, hey look, I've put it on a list for your manager, right? Then your manager is going to have that conversation with you. Where are you guys? Update the next steps, update the close date. That's going to make it a more accurate sales manager dashboard for them so that they can help their reps. Oh, marketing did that, I didn't do that. It was fancy stuff. So I just want to go over a couple things with you guys. Really do your research if you're going to create these dashboards and these reports. Start with the executives, align with their goals, align with their priorities, and then bring that all the way down to the line level people, right? Let your sales reps, let your marketing teams know exactly what the executives consider success. And use those, keep those things really simple. So don't overwhelm people with data. As an admin, I get asked for reports and dashboards all the time, but I use my discretion. There's a difference between providing a report to somebody and sticking it on a dashboard. And I think the most successful companies have admins and teams who understand the difference between those two things. And don't just jumble, like you want to make your life easier as the admin, don't just jumble a whole bunch of data onto one dashboard. It confuses everybody. Really take the time to tailor them for each person's specific needs. One thing I learned is be very direct with your titles. I want to be very descriptive because as an admin, when I look at it, I want to know exactly what I'm looking at. But as a rep or as a manager, I might confuse them. So really make the titles be compelling and be very direct so that people don't get lost within the data. And when you're designing your dashboard, there are a couple things that you can do, like group like data together. If you want to call attention to something, put it in that top row. If you're using Salesforce, you're using Lightning, one really cool feature is you can actually adjust the size of a chart. So if something's very important, you can make that chart larger than everything else. So there's things that you can do to really highlight what's important on your dashboards. And then, like I told you, my favorite tip is to really test that data with those power users and those power losers. That's where you're going to see whether or not your dashboards and your reporting are effective. So one cool thing that we did in putting this presentation together is that we built an intelligent guide to Salesforce Dashboards. And we'll post that on our website, but you guys can go in and download that. And it's basically just going through the dashboards that I showed you guys in more detail and giving you kind of topics and ideas for other and additional reports that you can add to your dashboards, best practices for dashboarding and reporting. So look for that on our website. I don't know specifically. Oh, it's on the mobile app as well, so you can go in and you can download this guide right now and use it. So when your managers are like, hey, wow, this is a beautiful dashboard, you're gonna be like, I learned that from Michelle Dotson, right? Yeah, okay, good. That's all I had. So if anybody has any questions, we can pass around the mic. I'll wear these for now. Anybody? No, oh, we have one.
So you mentioned a little bit ago that you use kind of discretion between making a report versus making a dashboard. Can you go a bit more into the type of discretion you put into before you decide to make a report, and then how much thought you put into it before you decide to take that report and add it into a dashboard?
Sure. So if my CEO says, Michelle, build me a dashboard, and these are the 5 things that I want to see, I know I have to actually probably do what he says, right? Okay, but if he's going to ask me, hey, Michelle, can you tell me right now how much quote to cash product are we selling? I might want to take that specific report and put that on one of his existing dashboards, right? Maybe that's something that we're tracking for the quarter that I want to highlight. Sometimes people might ask me for something really random, and I know nobody else really cares about that. It's just that specific person or that team, and they need that information right now. So it just comes a little bit with experience and understanding, is this ask something that should be repeatable, that we should be tracking long term? If it is, should I just keep it as a report? Should I put it on their team's dashboard? And you can also run that by the specific person who asks you. Good question, thank you. Anybody else? Don't be shy. You guys are really shy. Oh, look, one in the back. Thank you.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
So where do you have maybe more traditional SaaS metrics, like, monthly recurring revenue, customer acquisition costs represent? How do you show those? These are operational, clearly, pipeline, leads, and so forth. But now, if we want to look at how is the health of our business on, revenues and things like that, where do you manage that, and how do you show that?
So using Apttus, at Apttus, shocking I know, we are able to run a lot of that specific data. So using Apttus, using our CPQ tool, we actually built out Mark Moore. He's sitting in the back of the room with one of you guys. He's our director of Deal Desk. Together, we track how we're using Apttus and how we're looking at average, quote proposal times and average approval times. We're looking at how much cash are we bringing in, what are the in-quarter billings that we look at. So because we're using Apttus, using those objects, I can run those reports specific more to the operations side for the finance team, and I can put that on a specific dashboard for those teams. So it just depends on how you're running your business. If you're tracking those metrics within your CRM, you can run any report, right? So I'm happy to talk to you more about it outside as well. We have 2 minutes. Otherwise, you can just look at me for 2 minutes. Or I could end early. All right. Thanks, guys. Oh, it's time for lunch? Oh, there's food outside. Lucky you.